All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Surely don't know the numbers, but this is the mini astrological coffee talk with Eric. And tonight we're doing D'Angelo. Real name is Michael, I believe it's Michael Archer. And hence the stage name D'Angelo, because Michael it's already been taken by the greatest, the king of pop, Michael Jackson. So, um, died at age 51 in October, Libra season. And being the Aquarius on February 11th, he had four siblings. So it really does make sense that he would be what? Well, this is tricky. He didn't grow up with the mother. They had issues and got divorced, and I think she may have got involved in drugs. The father was a pastor. So in Richmond, Virginia, he grew up with his father, moved in with his dad, I guess, and a mom. But in that case, that's where you could still see the sun in the fourth house. And it could be that the son is playing the role, the father's playing the role of the mother, not where you can't see him, where he's lighting up the fourth house because he's got to take over. So I'm thinking D'Angelo may be a Scorpio rising. So we'll look at it like that. Mainly we'll focus just on the aspects, but we'll see who he is. You know what I mean? But I kind of feel, even though, and this is what's so surprising, don't you feel like he did more? He only did three albums, won four Grammys. Um, we all love the first album. The other two, the last one I wasn't really feeling. But he only did three albums. And that is definitely some Scorpio rising stuff because D'Angelo went back and forth with, and so funny story, he randomly, I don't want to say date, but I know that he probably at least kissed this one girl I knew that worked at the W Hotel in New York City. And we were kind of like friends and flirting, but never went anywhere or whatever. But she would, he would be coming to the hotel and she would tell me, when she would see celebrities and stuff. And I was just like, oh my God, that's so funny. I'm kind of like the black Kevin Bacon. Like, I literally have. No, it's kind of funny because, like, I was in, television and film and theater in New York City from really mid or towards the end of '94 when I graduated Maryland to 2001 hardcore 9/11. But then I still was acting to 2005 off and on different things. I think the last major thing I did was Quid Quo Pro and The Interpreter. Before Sidney Pollack died, and we actually shot in the United Nations, which is a whole nother conversation. But one thing I would say, when you have four siblings, that's a lot. So then you have to try to place the Jupiter either in the third, fourth, or fifth house, or the ascendant. And in looking at the story, for me, that's how I came to the Scorpio rising because of his. I can't say that he had addictions. I don't know if you guys know if he ever had bad addictions, but he was creative, do work, then he would just disappear for a while. And I know he went through a point where he gained a bunch of weight. Like he had a lot of transformations in his life. But he had his first child with Angie Stone. We're going to kind of do this out of order because I have this in the brain. I want to spit it out to you. At 24. Now, I couldn't find the first kid's birthday, but I think he may be a junior, but his name was Michael Archer, I think, as well. But, we all, I don't know, maybe some of you guys don't love his music, but his first album was just freaking dope. But what I think really captured people, obviously, was that video for the ladies, and that he didn't go get him some skinny white girl or or get him like the real cute, like petite little light-skinned black girl. He had an ebony chocolate sister, Angie Stone, who was older and a lot older. So that was kind of fascinating to me. And, when they announced that they were together, I was like, that's interesting, but she kind of mentored him. So I don't know if you're so familiar, you know, Jazz did Angie B on my show. I don't know if you saw that. I did Angie Stone. But remember, she was in a hip hop group. She was in different R&B groups before. And Angie had quite a catalog because she was a great writer. Angie wrote a lot of songs for a lot of artists, just like Missy Elliott did, right? Wrote for Aaliyah, wrote for all these other people. So, she's really something. D'Angelo could not make it to her funeral because he was so devastated. But what's interesting, I was searching. I thought it was going to be really crazy, you guys, because I thought that she may have died. She died in Pisces season. It was like March 1st. but he died, what, just 7 months later in Libra season. But I was like, when I first realized it was March, I was like, oh my God, don't tell me it was the opposite, like Aries Libra. I was like, that would have freaked me out. But still, the questions are this, and we're going to see what we can see in the chart. They said he died of cancer. I don't know if you guys remember. Did they say, was it pancreatic or I can't
Yes.
remember.
Pancreatic cancer.
Say it again,
Yes.
colon?
Pancreatic.
Pancreatic.
You said it right.
Pancreatic. It was pancreatic. But
Yes.
people people said that he didn't have that. And that people that saw him a week or two before he died said he was fine. He was trying to do what Whitney Houston was doing, Angie Stone. Prince was mainly because they wanted his catalog. Same with Michael, all he owned. But Prince had all the unreleased music, right? With D'Angelo, he was trying to do what Whitney did and what Angie was doing to get some of their back money, and that's called an audit in the music industry, right? And so what happens is you have sales. He only sold 2 million albums worldwide. That's nothing.
Get out of here.
Yes,
No.
that's double platinum. And so the math ain't mathin' to me, but that's what they say. Okay. So this is why he was trying to do this audit. And then he was going to be working, I think, on a fourth album. So there's a lot of controversy. But so I say all that to say, we're going to bounce around for a second because it makes sense with the transformations in and out of the career. And look at this, the Venus and Lilith in the third house, okay? Because his communication and his artistry, right? Capricorn, part of his music business was selling the sex in a way, right? So you see the Lilith Venus conjunction, and the sun. Now Angie was a Sag in the Taurus moon. Wasn't sure on the rising. We couldn't really figure that out, and neither Jazz didn't know either. But Juno in the fourth house Aquarius, that's interesting. But this was made me think this is the right chart because of the Jupiter in the fourth, because he had 4 siblings. So he's one of 5 kids. I think it was 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And he had 3 children. So just a little key for you guys to know, if you have Jupiter on the ascendant, you could have 2 or more children or 2 or more siblings. So like I have it, right? I had my sister and I grew up. Then Papa was a Rolling Stone. At 18, I found out I had a half sister, shocked me to death. Then I found out the rumors that I may have another brother or brother and another sister, but they're older and I never met them, and I have no way of finding if they, but the rumors were pretty valid. My dad was kind of, he was
Rolling Stone.
yeah, Lord have mercy. I forgave him. I still love him to death. But it shows you what it does. It made me make a vow to myself, because even though it was years later, I still felt my mother's pain. But she didn't leave him. She stayed with him. And my mother told him, you better take care of that girl. Because he met a woman. So my father was friends with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. In New York City, Lou Alcindor, he was Pal Memorial. He came to my house when I was 6. I met him. I was like, oh my God. He's like 7'1", 7'2". He's a giant. But so he would go out to LA to the Lakers to watch the games. So I guess when he was out there, he met like this young, pretty sister. And then he had my half sister, London Taylor, but then the other 2, I think, were older and even older than my older sister. So how families are and stuff. You find out stuff later on, and you're like, what? Especially old Black folks, they never spoke about stuff, right? They never
Mhm.
told us nothing. When you go down to family secrets, all of us, if we shake trees, you'd be like, what? Grandma did what? You know what I mean? So it's just one of those trippy things. And then I've had different spiritual readings, and some people like, you're one of 7. And somebody said you're one of 5, So the 5 I potentially know about. The 1 of 7, that threw me off. But I say all that to say, when you have Jupiter on the ascendant, 3rd, 4th, 5th house, you can have a lot of siblings and a lot of children. So here we see it in the 4th house. That's a busy home. But the sun being there, remember, it's a mild malefic. So in a way, the sun could be burning off the energy of the mom. And look, Aquarius, you separate, you take flight. So they left the mother and they moved to the father's home because they got separated. So this is why I think that this is, really the chart. Interesting though, and this gets to the poetry and artistry, the Mercury and Pisces. You see, and that's what's so interesting, because if you listen to D'Angelo's music and lyrics, That right there is very Mercury Pisces. Okay, because he, whether it was voodoo or how does it?
Untitled.
What's the other titles?
Untitled. That's the name of the
Yes, yes,
album.
that was the second one, right?
And the last one was Black Messiah.
Yes, Black Messiah. Yeah. So you're kind of like, you know, yeah, that's right. It threw me off because I was reading that. I was like, Untitled? Was that really the name? Because I didn't remember it. And I have the three albums, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And you're just like, but he was, he really brought back the soul. Yes, he kind of came out when it was like neo soul. And that's when all like the boy bands were around. So people, he did not blow up the way he probably should have because they didn't put the real marketing behind him. Now we remember the first video because he was like butt ass naked, right? And that was, that blew up everywhere. But what really got him a lot was the features with Lauryn Hill, features with oh God, who else was he? He did a lot of different features. He did stuff with rappers, and that was also carrying him in between. Because you think, right? What was the first album? I think it was 2006, I believe, right?
No, his first album was like
It
in
was earlier than that.
'95. It was Brown Sugar. Brown
Oh
Sugar
no,
was
no,
his
sorry.
first
So Brown
album.
Sugar, no, that was 90. Was it 95 or 96?
I want to say that was like
It was
95.
95 because I was in
95.
95.
college.
Okay,
It was
that's
my first year of college. Yep.
yeah. Okay, so 95. That's where it was, and so, and that's like right, early neo soul, right? Because you had what
Mm-hmm.
Do was 96,
96, 97.
and then
That's when she came out.
Jill was like
99.
99. Guapale. Oh God, I miss neo soul music. Soul Child. The best.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best time. Like it was just so much. We just had so much good music, and where did it all go, right? But this is interesting. You see, the moon, Uranus, not the tightest conjunction, but it's still there, and so that can show the mother having sort of mental and different issues, right? And so I didn't get the full story on mom, but something happened that they were like, all the kids had to go live with dad. So I don't know if it was just drugs and alcohol or if it was something mental, but the moon in the 12th house would tell you, right? Addiction, mental stuff, and the Uranus, unpredictable. So they couldn't necessarily rely on their mother, right? So he had the mother wound. So then what did he do? He got with Angie Stone at 20, 23, 24. Okay, and that's the 24 is when he had the first child. So we'll start with the first house, and then we'll kind of bounce around. I just wanted to touch on those because they were on my brain. But he was born in 74, so he died at 51 years old. So this is 48, 49, 50, 51. He died here, Aquarius, fourth house, right? That's kind of interesting because the Ceres being here, remember, this is how you're nurtured and cared for, but it's also secret sorrows. And I guess the Aquarius makes me think something foreign. And you know, I just, I don't believe the story. I don't know how you guys feel. I just don't believe how it died like that. I just, after the controversy with Angie, because that was grimy too. And a lot of that goes back to, and Jazz didn't want to say it on my show, but Clive Davis, right? Arista Records. And so, remember when they interviewed him about Diddy, he acted like he had complete amnesia and Alzheimer's, right? Who's that? It's like, come on, dude. And it's just, I don't know, you guys. Sometimes this world, you just have to be like, wow, do people really get away with this stuff? And yes, they do. But the Scorpio rising, that feels right for D'Angelo. Okay. Nothing really on the ascendant except for this little guardian angel here. But if we're going to 95, that's 21 years old. He was a baby. That's the 10th house. Shining bright, the career. So that's what it was. That's why whenever I did it, I forgot the year, but I knew there was something. This was another thing that made me think, yes, this is it. Leo, 10th house, midheaven. He's the entertainer, dropping the first album. So it's right there in the chart. So this is how you dissect a chart, and you start. The annual perfections will always give you clues. Does that make sense? Because when you clock it by the years, right, you see at 21, because right, 24 would be here, 23, 22, 21. It's when he launched his career, first album. So, and Leo the Entertainer. And see, most people don't realize this, but most Scorpio risings, they eventually get to the place where they need to have their own business or own career. Like, it's hard for them to work for others. And I was talking about this with Kimberly last night, right? You got the Sag in the second house, the Aries in the sixth, and the Leo in the 10th. That's very much fiery leadership energy. Scorpio risings don't, it's not like they can't be led, not like they can't work for anybody. Any job I had, I listened to my bosses and this and that. But that Aries there, like, I didn't wait to be told. Like, I would just initiate, right? Even when I was teaching with the kids in the school in the Bronx, I was doing, teaching them computers. Then our teacher quit. They needed me to be the art teacher. I can't draw worth a lick. I could barely do like a straight line or a circle. I mean, it's a mess, right? So, but I went in that classroom. I had the music playing. The kids were bugging out, laughing. We were doing raps, and then I came up with this whole idea. We made like all these letters and put them up all over the school. And the principal was like, "I love it." And so I'm creative, even though I can't draw with a lick. I've made something happen. But that's the thing. Aries will initiate at work, sixth house. They will take the lead and the charge. Now with D'Angelo, though, obviously when you're working in the music industry, and let's see, does he have anything over here? Really, you're kind of working for somebody. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think he blew up as much as he did, because I don't know if D'Angelo wanted to play the full game and completely sell his soul. Because remember, the music industry changed. Right? There were stories back in the days, right? And you know how they took care of and killed Sam Cooke and this one and that one, right? But, in terms of it getting so controlled by Italian and Jewish mafia and very demonic and all the sex rituals, that was more like early to late 90s. I felt like it intensified. I'm not saying it wasn't going on before then. It probably was. But I really feel like it got, really, because that's what the whole thing with Diddy, with Andre Harrell and Clive Davis. That's where a lot of that stuff was coming through Clive Davis. They always like to, put it all like on a Diddy and have him go to jail. And I'm not defending Diddy, don't get me wrong. He's not, he's not a nice person. But Clive Davis was the head of that, right? Just like, Jimmy Iovine. Like, these rich white executives get away. And so to me, and it's not about white or black, it's about the real power people always get away. It's the one that's out in the front, right? That's selling the Ciroc and this and that, trying to pimp out his own people, that gets the downfall, Now, of course, he got too big for his britches, but and I don't mean to sidetrack on Diddy, we're going to stay on D'Angelo, but it's when he sued the liquor company, De Leon, the English liquor company, that's when everything changed. And he won, and then they came after him, and then he started a political party. Do you remember that? Diddy was starting a black political party. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
Vote or die.
There you go. Okay, see, Gail's on it. So but all right. So the Scorpio kind of makes sense with all the transformations. Now the second house, there you go, speech, Neptune, right? How does it feel? Like voodoo, like these titles of his songs, right? Brown Sugar. Neptune Sag, he is dissolving the old wisdom, beliefs, and philosophies. I mean, that's pretty bold to just be like, yeah, I've got a song and an album and this and it's called voodoo. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like he was really getting into black magic, and his music was very Neptunian. You know what I mean? Like I think one thing that I give credit to D'Angelo for in his artistry is that anybody that listened to his music, you felt nothing but pure soul, and he took you somewhere. You know what I mean? Like his lyrics, like his style, his flavor, and that's Neptune in the second house. Now, you can find a lot of artists with Neptune in the second, third, fifth, first. It doesn't mean if you have it other places you can't be like a brilliant artist. You can. But remember, Neptune is what? Film, photography, poetry, illusion, confusion, deception. Okay? So this is dissolving any organized dogmatic beliefs because Sagittarius is a dogmatic energy. Okay. But we got the nodes. Okay. So this is my theory on this. Um, when I see the nodes in the second, eighth house axis, I'm seeing patterns with very weird or unusual deaths sometimes. Not everybody. When you have it in the eighth house, I'm seeing the North Node with a lot of money. Michael Jackson, okay? In the whole sign, Placidus, it was in the seventh, but I look at it in the whole sign. And, he, obviously, owning all those catalogs and the Beatles and this one and that one. So, but I do see when you have the South Node in the eighth house, it's like you're coming in and there is sometimes a measure of things coming in with you, karma sometimes from a past life, okay? And but also the gift, skills, and talents, and they're in Gemini. He's freaking an artist and blowing up at 21. That's I don't want to say it's rare because whatever, but it's still kind of young. You know what I mean? But also, that's that getting with the mommy figure. Now, I think he Angie was the Sag, right? Neptune. He kind of, I feel when I look at this chart that like Angie was like family, like home to him. This older black artist who was talented and the wisdom and the beauty and Angie was just so soulful, but so talented. So she also, I don't know if you guys know, she helped to help mold him too. You know that, right? She kind of
Yeah.
cleaned him up a little bit because, I know some people in the industry like D'Angelo was always high and he was this and he was, he was a weed head. Okay. Now, I don't want to start no rumors because I don't know if he did anything else. All I know about was the weed. So, but, to me, that long of a career and you only did 3 albums, he was going through a lot of turmoil behind the scenes, or he just did not want to play the game. So maybe it's smart of him. That I haven't figured out. I kind of feel like it's a little bit of both. I don't know what you guys think, but
I think he didn't want to play the game from what I heard from an interview with Angie.
yeah.
He wasn't on that assembly line of putting out records.
Yeah, and that's what I think too. I think he really did not want to sell his soul like a lot of people did. I mean, I don't know if you
Um,
ever saw the what's those shows when they did the real life story? Like it was very sad. The
True
Jodeci one,
story.
the Jodeci one, like the
I think
Vine.
there's like the VH1.
Yes, the VH1, and they were all alcoholics, and JoJo he beat Mary, and all. It was terrible, but it was so sad. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
that
and
was KC.
Yeah,
KC, yeah,
Casey.
KC, yeah,
Yeah,
KC, yeah. But I mean, but
but
just all that they went through, right? Like it was, you know,
but
you,
I think it was really everything came to fall here for D'Angelo when he had a conversation with Prince. And Prince was the one that basically told him, gave him more knowledge about the music industry
yes,
during that time. Because remember, when Brown Sugar came out, that's when Prince was having that major dispute with Warner Brothers
yes, I
at that
know, I
time
remember. Oh
still.
my God,
And that's,
thank you.
that's when you had the whole thing, the love symbol came out, artist formerly known as Prince. He was going back and forth with his publishing and
Yes,
stuff like that. So that's when he decided, like, okay, I'm not going to put out an album when they want me to put out an album or every 2 years. He's going to do what Sade did. Basically, he's going to put out an album once every decade.
oh my God, I can't believe you say that. I was in physical therapy today. They were jamming to Sade. The,
I love
the physical
Sade.
therapist is this white British guy, and he freaking loves Sade because he's from England. And I was like, oh my God, like I haven't heard Sade in a minute. I was like, I miss her. But that
Yeah,
you're
she's about to
right.
come
I
out with a new
remember that
album.
conversation now. But I get upset with Sade because I'm like, come on, girl, like you got to give us some more music, like please, like at least do some guest appearances. At least see, give D'Angelo credit though. Remember
He
what I
did
said? He
features.
did those features, and
He
every
did
one was
features.
memorable. I remember he did a
But
couple with rappers. I can't remember them now. I feel like one was with De La or Tribe or somebody, but
De
he
La
did
Soul.
Yeah, it was De La Soul. Obviously, Lauryn Hill was the huge one. Who
That
else?
was his biggest.
Yeah, that was classic. There
That
was
was the
another
biggest
one
one.
though. There was another one that was big. But see, but look at this too, you guys. You're talking about the South Node, Uranus and Saturn in the eighth house. Do you understand? Like, okay, so spiritually, this tells you D'Angelo would get these downloads to like write some brilliant, you're gonna see like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I don't even, wait a minute, that's not right, is it? That's not Uranus. No, okay, Saturn, yeah, because I'm like, Uranus is in Libra, but the Saturn South Node, but there's some karma there. And so the eighth house, and I think you guys have heard me say, you can see the end of your father's life there, the fourth end of your mother's, and the 12th end of your own, which really I thought was interesting because he died in what? October 14th. That's Libra season. Uranus moon, a sudden event to his body. You see that? That unpredictable. And that's where I kind of feel like there's something fishy. And let me see, is the Uranus trining the sun? Yeah, look at that. Uranus is trining the sun and Jupiter. So that speaks to the musical genius from the spiritual realm. And it makes me think that some of his siblings may be gifted too. Maybe it's not music, it could just be anything, right? They could just, whatever. But it makes me think about that. I mean, obviously, the Mercury would say more about the siblings, but, Mars is brothers and boyfriends, but sometimes more of the Vedic, they look at Mars as the younger brother. It's brothers, but it's more younger. I don't know what they would say for the older, but you see the older sibling in the 11th house. I couldn't figure out what number he was out of the 5 kids. That I couldn't find in the research. It was just like, oh my God, it was like, and Wikipedia is, I don't know how you guys feel about Wikipedia, but some stuff is real, sometimes it's not true.
Hmm.
But I'm starting to realize you got to go to other search engines because Google has been so edited. You got to go to Brave and Duck, what is it, DuckDuckGo or
So
So
yeah. So, that's what I've got to remember to go to. But also, look at this Pluto in the 12th house. You have to be careful with this because you can become the narcissist or you can attract narcissists, right? Give you an example like Trump has it. He is the narcissist. Um, who was it else? Not Prince. Robin Williams? No. Somebody else. Some artist like maybe it's Badu, it's somebody, but somebody else has it in the 12th house, and it's like they have dealt with narcissists. You know what I mean? So you could see either or, but with Pluto, remember having the Pluto Libra generation. What happened? He got married. Was it two, 3 times? Do you remember? See, or I know he had 3 kids, but I think it's with 3 different women, right?
yeah, all of them had different baby mothers.
Yeah. So I think he got married maybe twice. That I couldn't figure out. I think it was twice, not 3 times. But that's a very Pluto Libra thing. Remember I tell you the Pluto Libra generation from like 71 to 83, so the end of Gen X and then the early millennials, because the millennials start in 80. So it doesn't just start with 83 Pluto Scorpio. A couple of the Pluto Libras from 80, 80, 81, 82, and going into 83 are are early, millennials, because the millennials goes from 80 to 95, and then you go into the Gen Z when that starts 95 to 08, and then we get the Pluto Capricorns, right? And some of them are Gen Z, and then you get into the later ones that are the Alpha, you know. So it's interesting, but this would tell you, right, that there was a lot of psychological stuff. When you're dealing with the Pluto, the Moon, and Uranus, this is how he's also seeing the mother. Remember, the 12th house is dissolving the relationship, right? And so Pluto is dealing with the past life trauma, childhood trauma, and crisis. So mom could have been, in and out of a psych ward, out of a hospital, health issues. He saw something. But this makes me think that for him, that's why he latched on Angie Stone, because he had such a mother wound. And then we got to go find my brother's Chiron. Where is the Chiron? I think the Lilith in the third house in Capricorn, though, I wonder if that's what was going on with him in terms of business. Do you think in a way that he could have saw Angie as a come up? Have you guys ever thought about that? Like Angie Stone? Like she was not
Angie, yeah, because she was mentoring him and she'd been in the business like eons
forever. Yeah,
before
yeah, yeah.
him. Because,
Yeah,
she was like the first female rap group and
yeah,
everything
sequence.
else.
Yeah.
So
I think that
it, it,
he
it
saw
could have
that as
been.
an opportunity. Look at this Venus, Capricorn, Lilith. That was like, yeah, let me sleep with this older black woman that's got all those connections so I can get hooked up, right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking about now when you
Yeah.
see the chart, because Capricorn's going to be older. Venus, Capricorn, you could be attracted to older women,
Yeah.
men who have that.
She helped him.
She
And she
took,
helped him.
she took, and when you see her in interviews, like she really, she loved him. She kind of accepted him for who he was too, you know. They had an interesting connection, like, it was, but I
But
think she was also kind of detached too. Did you get
but
that
every
feeling?
relationship, usually every relationship that she gets into, it seems as though she's in there with men and how the way society views beauty. They look at her like you're with her. They look at the guy
Right.
like, wait a minute. Because you remember even Idris Elba wanted to get with her. And she said, no, I already had like a situation before with my past person I was with,
Oh, I
and he
never
was a
heard about
sex
that.
symbol.
Idris Elba
Yeah,
wanted to get with Angie?
yeah, and she turned him
Yeah.
down.
Wow. Okay, man. See, this is why I love you, brother. You got the full. I did not hear. Really? Okay, so this is 17. No, that's 11. No, 17.
Oh,
So
17.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
17. So at 8 or at 17, it could be the double entendre. It could be both. Something happened in his daily routine. So if this makes me think at 17, Aries, he probably maybe left home early and something happened to create the scar, the emotional, physical, spiritual wound. And I don't know if it was 8 when, they left mom and just moved into dad's house. So that's where it could be both. It could be the double wounding. Okay. Because remember, the father was a pastor. They were in Richmond, Virginia, and if you guys know, obviously the Clips, Pharrell, Missy, um,
All from Virginia. Chris Brown.
Chris Brown. No, seriously, Virginia, Richmond, the Richmond area in Virginia, Mad Skills, who I actually rhymed with outside the New Music Seminar. It was a great story, man. Mad Skills is dope. But like that's that. You know what I mean? So maybe at 17, he was like, I'm gone. I'm pursuing music. And then by the time he from 17 to 21, he's running the streets on his own. And then he probably gets his deal around 20, leaves Virginia. See, I didn't see that. It would be interesting to see when he moved to New York. Because if it's at 20, right, that's what, 50 miles further away from Virginia. That's literal. So this is, see, you see, it's so great because the chart, you guys, I freaking love astrology. Like it's like a time clock. I would be willing to bet money that at least by, could have been 19, but at least by 1920, he's up in New York. Okay, and he winds up dying in New York. But he's up in New York, and he left Virginia, and then the album comes out at 21.
They say he moved to New York City in 1991 at the age of 18.
Ooh, so seventh house to pursue business, Mars. Okay. Mars Taurus. Now remember, Michael Jackson has Mars Taurus.
Hmm.
So Mars Taurus is a couple things. When you have Mars Taurus, and in the seventh house, it's interesting because that means you can get into arguments and fights with the other half, but it's also speaking to a brother could help him with work or a relationship or marriage, right? A younger brother, which I still don't know. Maybe if you see like what number out of the 5 kids he was. That I don't know. But I do know one of his kids, though, the oldest one, Jazz was talking about that he was kind of like he wasn't feeling. I don't think he was feeling his mom or his dad and the kid that they had together. Like I think I don't know his story now, but and I don't know if he's in the industry. So there's some interesting things, but I think the youngest one is a little girl. I think she's actually pretty young too, so that's kind of interesting. But Mars and Taurus, for Michael, he used it for what? The dancing, moving the body, and this and that, and the power in his voice. Like people think of Michael like so serene, but Michael Jackson's voice was powerful, right? And D'Angelo was very sultry, but there was still power in the voice, right? So Mars and Taurus, you can find that because Taurus is going to rule the throat chakra, right? But anytime you heard D'Angelo talk, it almost came off to me like he was like not only the introvert, which made me think about the sun in the fourth house. That means you're going to be an introvert. Remember, this is sect in astrology. It's going to be in my book, y'all. But when the sun is below the ascendant, right, that is when Moon, Venus, and Saturn take center stage. Saturn becomes the greater malefic and Venus comes the greater benefic. So if this Venus for him was the come up with Angie, okay, and his singing and writing, okay. Now the Saturn would be his greater challenge. So the Mars would not be bad. So this Mars is him initiating with the other half. So he moved to New York and he was making moves, right? Because if he gets there at 18, 19, 20, it only took 3 years. You know how many people move to New York or LA and it would take them 20, 30 years to get signed or do something? You know, you go to LA, you go to a restaurant, everybody's got a screenplay and a acting reel. Like it's actually comedy. It's actually sad, actually, but but a lot of that in New York too. When you have kids come from all over the states. I mean, think about all these different states. Like, they feel ostracized. They're in a theater club. People think they're weird or this and that. They go to New York for musical theater. They go to LA to, I want to be famous and this and that. And they're super talented people, but they can't get on. This guy, he moves from Virginia, 18, 19, 20, 21. He's got a hit song and an album. And that's right here. That's the Venus Lilith Capricorn. So he met the right people pretty quickly. And let's see, is this Venus and Lilith trining the Mars? Yes, it is. Look at that. Okay. So to me, that's that strong, when Venus trines Mars, that's strong sexual energy. Capricorn to Taurus, that's Earth. Yeah. So what is the seventh house, you guys? It's also fame, right? So Mars, so you understand? So, oh, D'Angelo was slick, y'all. He did. He used some of his sexual magic, and he got with Angie. And not saying he didn't love her, but that was a come up for him. Okay, don't think for a second it wasn't. When you got Lilith and Venus trying Mars, and the Mars is in the seventh house of fame, and the third house is of your skills and self-efforts, right? He's like, yeah, I'm just this introverted young cat. I'm kind of weird. I like to smoke weed, but, baby, I know you could help me and put me on, right? You could see it, right? Yes, that's really deep right there. Wow. So when you have the North Node in the second house, though, you can have unusual relationships with the family, but in this lifetime, your money, your wealth is on you. You're not going to have help. I mean, not from your family. Let me say that. Like he had help from Angie and they got married and all that, but you're not going to have help from mom, dad per se, your people that you grew up with. Remember, this is the second house is your family savings, values, assets, your speech, your intuition, your five senses, survival, money itself, and how you earn money, things you collect. So having the North Node there, and this makes me think that D'Angelo, Cephas, you would know this, didn't he? I felt like there was, I don't know if it was an album or a video, there was something that was controversial about maybe religion, maybe it was the voodoo thing, but he did something, I can't remember. It wasn't like not no Madonna stuff. It wasn't like Papa Don't Preach and having Leon on the cross. Like that was like the biggest thing ever. Like people are like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, I got Black Jesus." What? I was like, "Go ahead, Madonna." No, I don't like her now because she's like a demon and she's eating children and all that weird stuff. But when Madonna did that with Leon, I was like, "Girl, come on, let's go." I liked her. I love me some Madonna growing up. But you understand what I'm saying? Like this makes me think. Do you remember? Am I remembering something?
The only music video that he had for the Voodoo era, correct me if I'm wrong, was just only "How Does It Feel?" And I think it was something for "Send It Up." I think you getting that mixed up with the Nas one. That was around that time because Nas came out with a video around that time with P. Diddy.
No,
You can
yeah,
hate
hit
me
me
now,
now.
and he
No,
was
no,
being on
yeah,
the
yeah, no.
crucifix.
I'm not talking about the first album. I'm just thinking along the way. Um, I felt like there was something about whether it may not have been voodoo, but it may have been something about something that touched on religion or dissolving religion or something like some witchcraft or magic that like people were saying. Oh, because I remember somebody saying like, "Oh, I don't mess with D'Angelo. He's into cutting them chickens and some dumb stuff." You know what I mean? I can't
Yeah.
remember. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't remember that, but I feel like there was something there because remember the North Node is obsession. It's foreign to you. You have to mature into it. It's between 42 and 48. He only made it to 51, and um, so he was drawn to Angie early on because that's his North Node. You're not supposed to recognize the North Node until 30. So this Gemini South Node, he was leaving that. He was like, I gotta leave the authority figure. My dad is this guy in the church. He's a pastor. I'm leaving this. Because remember, the father's not just the son. Sometimes it's the authority figures is the Saturn too, right? So Saturn, Gemini, I don't want to hear about this church talk anymore, right? I'm going to New York. I'm doing this and that. Mars, Taurus. Angie had a Taurus moon. There you go. Okay. And then she's the Sag Sun. That's the North Node. So there was this like, she's mom, she's money, she's my North Node. You see what I'm saying? There was a lot there. It's not just the, Lilith, Venus, trine Mars. It's also, she was my get out of jail card free financially, but also spiritually, because you got the North Node and the Neptune, and he wasn't ready to go there yet, but it was almost like intuitively he saw it, right? Maybe there was a vision. She can nurture me, Uranus, Moon, and be like this peaceful, harmonious mother figure to get me where I want to go. Does that make sense? Because even look at the
Mhm.
Uranus, it's squaring. Oh my God. Uranus is squaring the Lilith and the Venus. That's why he's got kids from 3 different women. You see that? Uranus square Venus, you guys, that could be same sex. It could be just random sleeping around. All of it. You understand? Especially the 12th house. Now, I can tell you because I have this Uranus 12th house. His dreams are off the charts. He probably dreamt about women, right? Like for me with Uranus Libra, anytime I was in a relationship, I could literally see the woman when she wasn't with me. And I dreamt about my wife before I met her. Swear to God. Like that Uranus Libra is no joke. Because what? Libra's relationships, and this is in the spiritual realm. I didn't see Alana's face. I saw her hand and her wrist, and she was holding the pole like on the number 1 train in New York City. That's how I knew that she was my wife. Like it was so clear as day. Like it just came to me. And the letter A. The one thing I would say about when you have the moon in the 12th house too, and this is with the sun too, that's going to tell you right off the bat that the relationship with his mother was dissolved. And with Pluto, Uranus, like the moon being in between the two, there was definitely there was a lot of psychological stuff, and the mother was unpredictable. So he did not have a stable connection to the nurturing and the caring growing up, which is why the Ceres, you guys, is in Aquarius, because how you are nurtured and cared for, how you nurture and care for others, is detached. You see, Aquarius is detached. That's why, like, if you have an Aquarius moon, and I know, some of you guys do, you have karmic debt to pay off to the mother. But the mother, it's hard for anybody. I had a Cap moon growing up. I love my mother to death, but I felt growing up like sometimes, even though she was very fair, I felt like it was not detached. It's that karmic, like, toughness. Like, I remember I just wanted my mom to play a video game with me, and she wouldn't do it. I wanted her to play Double Dribble on Nintendo with me, and she just didn't do it. But like, there's something that's like you emotionally feel a weight if you have a Capricorn or Aquarius moon. But the Aquarius moon, you have karma. Any Aquarius placements, right? And that's what I was telling you with Chantel, and you'll see in the report, right, and in the reading. If you got Aquarius sun and moon, you have karmic debt to pay off to your parents. And it doesn't mean like it's like something always so crazy heavy. It could just be like, buy dad's a pair of shoes, buy mom kitchen supplies, buy her linens, but you have to pay off. Scorpio, you're breaking generational curses. Aquarius, you have to pay off karma. Does that make sense? And remember, the three most karmic signs are the signs with co-rulers: Scorpio, Aquarius, and Pisces. Pisces, Jupiter, Neptune; Aquarius, Saturn, Uranus; and Scorpio, the Mars, Pluto. Okay, so always remember that, you guys. Like, but the thing with the Pisces, it's the battle with Jupiter, Neptune. They're part dogmatic. They're like the grandma and the grandpa of the zodiac, right? Always telling you what to do, right? Do it my way. And then the Neptune, they're in the ethers and escapism in the spiritual realm, right? Sometimes during the day, I'm like bringing Alana back down. I'm like, come here, baby. Like, come down. She's up in the ethers. But that's the Pisces. Like, they are true magic. But see, that's the thing. I don't know if you guys have ever dated or been married or in a relationship with a Pisces, but the men, it's hard because they try to act stoic, but they're like so soft and mushy on the inside. They're like sweet guys, like so sweet. Like, they could be like a hardcore construction worker, and then they'll come home and like listen to like Chopin and opera and play like, classical music or play guitar. Like, my neighbor was like a baseball player, and like he had a whole guitar collection, and you would never think like, he's like a big catcher, baseball guy, but he just likes to play his guitar and just chill. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the men come off very stoic, but they're very sensitive. Right? You've seen the clips of Method Man. He's a Pisces. And, Wu-Tang and all the METHOD. But he admitted, like, he got that he was listening to the Beatles and Hall & Oates. So he's not all that hard. You know what I mean? I mean, growing up in the 80s, we all love Hall & Oates, and don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, it's just like, keep it real, dude. You're not just like, oh, Shaolin, Staten Island, whatever. You listen into the freaking Hall & Oates. Like, come on, it's dope. But it's just funny. Like, so that's the thing. But I was saying all that to say they're pure agape, Christ-like love. Book of Ephesians. And where do you also see the connection? Venus is exalted in Pisces. Does anybody here have Venus in Pisces? Any of you guys? It's very hard in this lifetime for Venus Pisces people to find their love match, because they love so purely, and they have to be careful not to be the victims in love or overly self-sacrificing. Sometimes it's hard for them to find that equal match because their love is so serene and pure. Like, it's so beautiful, It's kind of crazy. So any questions, anything you guys are seeing? Obviously the Mercury Pisces 5th house, that's pretty self-explanatory. And what? Part of fortune, spiritual and financial blessings through his creative singing and writing. Mercury is the artist, the singer. His children, I wonder if any of his kids are Pisces. That would be interesting. Usually when you have Mercury in the 5th house, you will get a daughter. And I think he's got 2 boys and a girl. So he got his daughter. The 9th house, he'll probably get his granddaughter. See, that's with me. I look at my Cancer 9th house and I can't wait. I don't want any of these boys to do it anytime soon, but I'm going to get me my granddaughter. Oh, God. See, if I'm going to spoil that little girl.
I'm pretty sure you got none of the boys.
No, oh, my God. Oh, and they wear me out. They wear me. They wear out Alana. Oh my God. But they wear me out too. But um, any questions though? Jupiter Sun conjunction. One thing you'll notice with that, you can manifest like crazy. Jupiter does so well in Aquarius. I don't know about how he spent his money and his finances, but I know he would want a big home. You know what I mean? Jupiter in the fourth house, it will. He'll be the introvert, but it will usually go away by. You can see it start to dissipate between like 21 and 28 years old. But you saw, like, even though he became the star, right, and famous at 21, D'Angelo he didn't go on all the shows and he didn't do the whole circuit. He didn't like that. So, because he was still what? This Aquarius, weird, bizarre, introverted guy, right?
Yeah, she said, Angie said that he didn't like being labeled a sex symbol.
No, he did not. He was very quirky and weird. Yeah, I remember that. Thank you, Gail. You're right. Yeah, no, and this would tell you that. Like, one on one, he was probably magic and lit up and he was big. But like, he didn't want that. He didn't want that limelight. You know what I mean? This Jupiter Sun, though, this also speaks to what? Remember, I told you the father was a pastor. What's Jupiter? Jupiter's connected to the religious law, the wisdom, beliefs, and philosophies. But see, with him, I think he had to separate from that. And that's the Neptune Sag, and that's even the Sun, Jupiter, because what can happen, the Sun's a mild malefic, so it can also burn any planet it's next to. I think for some reason, though, I think it burns Jupiter the least because Jupiter is the greater benefic and such a big gassy planet. But Sun, like, I don't know if you guys know, like, so when people have Sun Venus conjunctions, very tight orb, I say 0 to 2 degrees, especially a female in her chart, that could burn the relationship with her father. It can be for anybody, but like I see it more with women. So these are just different little nuggets, as you guys start to look at different charts and you explore your own. But I think with D'Angelo, we can clearly see the issues with mom, right? 12th house. And then just really sad, like him dying in Libra season. And this just makes me think it was, see, remember, okay, oh God, this is sad. Because Uranus, it's unpredictable, but it's sudden events. They just came out with information recently about Eazy-E that he didn't have AIDS. They were poisoning him in that hospital, and they had different security guards coming in there posing as nurses, and they gave him something. Eazy didn't have AIDS. So, like, truth is just, we are, okay, remember where we're at, right? What's happening now, there's layers and there's illusion. And with D'Angelo, I think I don't believe the story of the pancreas. That's what I'm saying. Because you're dying in 51. That's the fourth house, right? These are portal houses, 4, 8, and 12. And I wonder, is his mother already dead? That's the thing. I didn't see the parents. But I bet the mother's already gone. And I feel like it was almost like this call back home to the mom and ancestors. You know what I mean? Like, there's something really bizarre about this, you guys. And he was broken. Like, he couldn't even make it to the funeral for Angie. Like, he was broken. But I think he knows that she was taken out. You understand? And I wonder if they got to him because they know. That there's something that's screaming to me. This moon smacked in between Uranus and Pluto in the 12th house. Because this is what? The hidden enemies. That's the hidden enemies, you guys. And for this to be the end of your own life, and you die in Libra season, and the moon is your body, the Pluto's your psychology, the Uranus is your freedom and liberation. And so maybe now the brother is free, and I wish him nothing but the best. But it just, I don't know. Sometimes some of these charts, the way they talk to us, it's just kind of deep. But best
His
believe,
mother,
huh?
his mother passed October 30th, 2023.
Oh yeah, he was already missing her, and then Angie goes. Yeah, he. I don't think he wanted to be here anymore either. Do you guys believe that I think there's something with our will. If we have the desire and the will to survive, you will survive anything. But then here with D'Angelo, the mom in 23, Angie in 2025, those were his two mothers, for lack of a better word, right? You know what I mean? Like the mother figures. And so, oh God, it would be crazy if his mom was literally a Libra. But Angie's the Sag, and you see the Neptune North Node, like he was broken, you guys. His will was no longer there. I really think. Now, I'm not saying that like he didn't do it himself, whatever they did to him, but I'm just saying like I don't think he had the fight left in him,
Right.
and I don't believe it's pancreatic cancer. I'd have to read the report with my own freaking eyes because when I've
Yeah, when
heard
it comes
different
to
people,
pancreatic cancer, that's one of the toughest cancers to detect. So, I guess they use that one because it's just hard. It's hard on the
yeah,
body.
no, no, you're right. That makes sense. I mean, because that's a great cover, right?
Yep.
Yeah, when it could just be poison. The same thing with EZ. Oh, AIDS.
Right, right, right. Easy E.
EZ didn't have no
Yep.
damn AIDS.
It didn't make sense either.
It made no sense. He went into the hospital, and I forgot the story what he went in for. It was something like I don't know if, and
Probably the flu.
yeah, I think
At
it was
that
just
time, maybe the flu.
yeah, I think it was just some flu. But they said they had some gar. We can maybe that's what I got to do too. Easy E's birth chart. He was a Virgo. So wrapping it up, you guys. I would definitely say, you know, really gone too soon. Definitely worked his chart. Um, I think he was destined to meet Angie. This Lilith, Venus, Mars trine, the North Node, Neptune, Sag, and she was a Sag. The trine to Mars Taurus, where you Mars Taurus initiating the fame, and like I just it's sad. You know what I mean? It's sad, and I just I just wish his soul rest in peace. But it's just like, wow. I would bet anything that he is the Scorpio rising now because look, I mean the 21 with the Leo and the career and the even the Mars moving and after the Chiron moon. So something happened at home. He had to bounce. He was like, F Richmond. I'm going to New York. I initiate, right? Venus, Mars, Lilith trine. I meet Angie. What's up, baby? Oh, you my brown sugar girl. Da da da. Older woman, Venus, Capricorn. They started sleeping together. She cleans them up a little. Okay, you can only smoke on Mondays and Fridays, or Saturday. You can only smoke on the weekends now. We gotta, your lips are looking too dark. Stop the blunts, right? Leave the Cavassier alone. Then he's doing this. Dad's like, "You coming back to Virginia, boy?" He's like, "Nah, Dad. I gotta bounce. I'm cutting the South Node cord and the authority figure." Ninth house, he starts doing little tours and trips and stuff. And then 10th house, 21, album, video. I'm naked, and then here we go. And I think that's D'Angelo. Michael Archer, right? I think that's it in a wrap. I'd really like to learn more about Mom now, because that Mars, Moon Uranus conjunction. It's not super tight, but it's there. That's that is an unstable mom. A genius mom though too. Don't get me wrong, right? Like it's not, but remember Uranus is electricity. It's the central nervous system in the back of your neck. And so the moon being your body, your health, your intuition, mom could be like making you pancakes and peanut butter and jelly sandwich and cookies and all that. And then the next day, she's like sitting there in her corner shaking and you're trying to get her attention and she won't even look at you and talk to you. You understand? That's the unpredictability of Moon Uranus, like when they're conjunct each other, And And then, if you have the square, you could have a lot of unpredictability about your own health, but also your mother. Random events and stuff are very challenging, right? All right, you guys, I love you. Enjoy, and I'll see you mañana.
Okay.
Have a great night. Good
Bye-bye.
night,
All right, have a
everyone.
good one.
Good
Bye.
night.
All right, bye to everybody on the replay. Bye.